In the quiet town of Ijebu, hidden amidst tall trees and distant hills, stood Greenville Boarding Schools for girls. The air around the school always felt thick with a sense of mystery. The vast grounds were enclosed by high walls, and the students were warned never to venture out without permission. One of the brightest students there was Motunde, a girl of 14 years, known for her beauty and intelligence. Her ebony skin glowed under the sun, and her eyes sparkled with wisdom beyond her years. She had long, dark hair that flowed like a waterfall down her back. She was the pride of her parents, who were humble yet wealthy enough to ensure she never lacked anything. But despite her grace, something about Motunde unsettled her classmates. She was always alone during meal times, quietly observing the others but never eating. Her slender form never showed any sign of malnutrition, even though none of the girls ever saw her with a plate of food. Rumors spread quickly, as they always do in boarding schools. "Have you ever seen Motunde eat?" asked Funke, a round-faced girl with a mischievous grin. "Not even a single piece of bread." "I haven't," replied Bola, a shy girl with bright eyes, "but she doesn't seem weak or hungry." "Maybe she sneaks food when we are not looking," Funke suggested, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Or maybe there's something else." And so the curiosity grew. The girls would secretly watch Motunde, trying to catch her eating, but every time they were met with disappointment. Unknown to them, the truth was far more terrifying than their wildest imaginations. Motunde had a secret, a dark, haunting secret that even she wished she didn't have. You see, Motunde wasn't entirely human. She was partly something else, something ancient and cursed. By day, she was the quiet, brilliant girl everyone admired. But once a month, during the full moon, she transformed. Her smooth, delicate skin would stretch and shift, her bones reshaping into a creature not entirely human. She became a soul eater, a being that fed on the very essence of those who broke the rules, particularly those who sneaked out of the school to taste the forbidden pleasures of the city life. These students, filled with the trail of disobedience, often returned with a strange energy about them, unaware that their souls had become vulnerable, that deviance made them easy targets, and under the full moon, Motunde would hunt. She didn't need to feed often, just once a month. But when she did, she consumed the essence of their very being. Despite her strange nature, Motunde was careful. She never harmed any innocent students, only those who ventured beyond the school walls without permission. Yet, as more students began disappearing or falling into strange, lifeless states, whispers spread throughout the school. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Then came that fateful night. The moon hung low and full in the sky, casting long shadows over the school grounds. Most of the students were in their dormitories, fast asleep. But Tola, a rebellious girl known for her sneaking out to explore the nightlife in the nearby town, had just climbed back over the wall. As she tiptoed through the dark, empty hallways, she heard a faint growl behind her. She froze. Slowly she turned around and saw Motunde standing in the moonlight. But it wasn't the Motunde she knew. Her face was no longer beautiful and human. She was distorted, her eyes glowing, her mouth twisted into a snarl. "Motunde," Tola whispered, her voice trembling. "What? What are you?" Motunde said nothing. Instead, her body began to transform right before Tola's eyes. Fur sprouted from her skin, her limbs elongated, and her teeth grew sharper. Tola's scream echoed through the halls as she turned to run, but was too late. The soul eater had already locked on her. But something unexpected happened. Just as Motunde was about to strike, a flicker of light appeared in the hallway. It was Chiamaka, another student who had woken up to use the bathroom. She saw the horror unfold and froze in shock. But instead of running, she quickly ran to the principal's quarters and pounded on her door. Ma, 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 something is happening. It's Motunde. She is a monster. The principal, a stern but kind woman named Mrs. Oladipo, wasted no time. She quickly called the local Reverend Father, Father Ezekiel, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a deep voice and a strong faith. He arrived at the school with his prayer book and holy water, ready to confront whatever evil had taken hold of the young girl. When Father Ezekiel found Motunde, she had fully transformed, standing over Tola's lifeless body. But as he began to pray, something in Motunde's eyes shifted. For the first time, she looked scared, terrified of what she had become. Motunde, Father Ezekiel called out, "This is not who you are. You are a child of God. You can be free of this curse." Motunde hesitated, her body trembling. As the Reverend's prayer grew louder, the power of his words filled the air, and slowly the creature began to shrink. Motunde's human form returned, and she collapsed to the ground, sobbing, but the curse had not been fully lifted. Father Ezekiel looked at the principal with concern. "We need to act fast. This is only the beginning." As the first rays of sunlight crept over the horizon, the school remained in silence. The students, now aware that something evil lurked within their school walls, huddled together in fear. The question lingered in the air: would the soul eater return, or had the prayers of Father Ezekiel truly saved them all? The days that followed the terrifying nights were filled with an eerie silence. At Greenville Boarding School, the students whispered among themselves, eyes darting fearfully whenever they passed Motunde. Though she appeared normal now, there was a darkness that lingered around her, a reminder of the horror that had unfolded. Even though Father Ezekiel had managed to stop her transformation, he warned that the cause still lingered, waiting for the next full moon to test his strength again. Motunde herself became withdrawn, haunted by the memories of what she had done. She often sat by herself, staring out of the window, trying to understand how she had become such a monster. She feared the next full moon, but there was something else gnawing at her, a feeling deep in her heart that the cause was not entirely hers. Meanwhile, Father Ezekiel had been investigating the origins of the curse. He visited the archives of the local church, poring over ancient texts and old records. There was something familiar about the curse of the soul eater, a pattern that seemed to repeat itself in different forms throughout the generations. After days of relentless study, he uncovered something shocking. It was late one evening when Father Ezekiel knocked on the door of Mrs. Oladipo's office. She had always been a strict but fair principal, known for her no-nonsense approach to discipline. But as he stood before her now, he saw a flicker of something in her eyes, something dark. "Mrs. Oladipo," Father Ezekiel began, his voice calm but firm, "I have uncovered the origins of the curse that afflicted Motunde." Mrs. Oladipo stiffened, her eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" "The curse didn't start with her," the Reverend said, watching her closely. "It started with you." For a moment, silence hung in the air, like a thick fog. Mrs. Oladipo's face grew pale, and her hands trembling slightly. She tried to deny it, but her voice faltered. You don't know what you are talking about." "I know that you were once the carrier of the curse," Father Ezekiel continued. You were once the soul eater, feeding on the disobedient souls of the students, just as Motunde did now. But somehow, you transferred the curse to her. Mrs. Oladipo's eyes filled the mixture of anger and fear. She stood up from her desk, her voice shaking. You don't understand. I didn't have a choice. The curse was passed to me when I was just a girl. Much like Motunde, I was trapped in its darkness, forced to feed on the souls of those who strayed beyond the rules. Then why transfer it to an innocent girl? Father Ezekiel asked, his voice filled with sorrow. Mrs. Oladipo's face twisted in guilt. I thought it would free me. When Motunde came to the school, so full of promise and light, I saw an opportunity to pass it on. I thought if I could rid myself of the curse, I could live a normal life again. I never imagined it would turn her into the same monster I was. The weight of her confession seemed to hang in the room like a heavy cloud. Father Ezekiel shook his head slowly, saddened by the depth of her betrayal. There is still time to save her, he said, but it would require a great sacrifice. Mrs. Oladipo lowered her gaze, tears forming in her eyes. She knew what the reverend meant. If the curse was to be broken, it would have to return to its original host. Ah, only then could Motunde be freed from its grip. The next full moon arrived, and the school braced itself for the worst. The students were ordered to stay inside their dormitories, their hearts filled with fear and uncertainty. Meanwhile, in a secluded part of the school, Father Ezekiel, Mrs. Oladipo, and Motunde gathered in the chapel. Candles flickered in the dim light as the Reverend began to pray, his voice strong and unwavering. Motunde, he said gently, you must trust me. We are going to free you from the curse tonight, but you must be strong. Motunde, her eyes wide with fear, nodded. She had been dreading this moment, afraid that the transformation would take hold of her again. But deep inside, she longed to be free, to never feel the hunger for souls again. As the prayers grew louder, the moon reached its peak in the sky. Motunde began to feel the familiar pull, her body trembling as the curse tried to take control. But just as she was about to lose herself, Mrs. Oladipo stepped forward. Take me instead, she whispered, her voice cracking. I was the one who brought this evil into her life. Let the curse return to its rightful place. Father Ezekiel hesitated, but he knew there was no other way. He nodded solemnly and continued his prayers. Slowly, the dark energy that surrounded Motunde began to lift. Her body relaxed. For the first time in months, she felt a sense of peace, but that peace came at a price. Mrs. Oladipo's face contorted in pain as the curse returned to her. Her body twisted and shifted, just as Motunde's had done so many times before. But she did not scream. She accepted her fate with silent resolve, knowing that her action had led to this moment. When the transformation was complete, Mrs. Oladipo looked at Father Ezekiel with tired eyes. Keep the girls safe, she whispered before disappearing into the night, never to be seen again. The school returned to normal in the days that followed. Motunde was free, her bright spirit restored, but the memory of what had happened lingered, a silent reminder of the dangers of disobedience and the power of unseen forces. The moral lessons of this story is that for the girls of Greenville Boarding School, the tale of the soul eater became a cautionary story passed down through the generations. It reminded them that their choices had consequences, that disobedience could lead them down paths they might never return from. But more importantly, it taught them that true courage comes not from hiding your mistakes, but from owning up to them no matter the cost. And so they learned to follow the rules, not out of fear, but out of respect for themselves, their peers, their parents, and the hidden forces that watch over them. Don't miss out on this unforgettable journey. Hit the like button, share, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment to let us know your thoughts. Together, let's spread the magic of storytelling and celebrate the beauty of our shared humanity. Thank you for watching. Till we meet again, have a nice and wonderful time. Hidden Tales by Becca.